Picture this: an island in the Pacific where people routinely live past 100 years old, where women live longer than anywhere else on Earth, where chronic disease is rare, and still working in your garden at 90 is completely normal. This isn't a fairy tale. This is Japan. And for decades, scientists, doctors, and nutritionists have been studying one very specific question. What are Japanese people eating that keeps them so healthy for so long? Today we're going to answer that question in full detail. Over the next hour and a half, I'm going to walk you through the most powerful longevity foods in Japanese cuisine. Not trends, not supplements, real traditional foods that have sustained some of the healthiest people on the planet for thousands of years. If you're over 50, this video was made specifically for you. Because the truth is, your food choices matter more now than at any other point in your life. And the good news, these foods are accessible, affordable, and absolutely delicious. Before we dive into the foods themselves, let's understand why Japan consistently tops longevity charts. Because understanding the why will help these foods make much more sense. Okinawa, a small island chain in southern Japan, became famous in the scientific community in the 1970s when researchers noticed something extraordinary. The rate of centenarians, people living to 100 or more, was 5 times higher than in the United States. Heart disease was nearly absent. Cancer rates were dramatically lower. Researchers called it the Okinawa program, and what they found changed nutritional science. The answer wasn't genetics alone. It was lifestyle, and food sat at the very center of it. Japanese culture has a guiding principle at mealtimes, harahachi bu. It's a Confucian teaching that means, eat until you are 80% full. Not stuffed. Not satisfied. 80%. This single habit reduces caloric intake without deprivation, supports healthy digestion, and keeps blood sugar stable. It's not a diet. It's a philosophy. And it works beautifully with the foods we're about to discuss. Key pillars of the Japanese diet. Pillar 1. Low in processed foods and refined sugars. Pillar 2. High in plant-based foods, fermented foods, and seafood. Pillar 3. Rich in antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids, and probiotics. Pillar 4. Portion conscious, beautiful, small, varied dishes. Pillar 5. Food eaten mindfully, slowly, with community. With that foundation in place, let's meet the foods. I've organized them into 7 powerful categories. We'll spend quality time on each one, including exactly what makes them special for adults over 50 specifically. Fermentation is one of the oldest preservation methods in human history, and Japan has elevated it into an art form. Fermented foods are teeming with beneficial bacteria, probiotics, that support the gut microbiome. And here's why that matters enormously as we age. After the age of 50, our gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in our digestive system, naturally becomes less diverse. This is linked to increased inflammation, weakened immunity, slower metabolism, and even cognitive decline. Fermented foods are one of the most powerful ways to fight back. Food number 1, miso. Miso is perhaps the most iconic Japanese food. It's a fermented paste made from soybeans, salt, and a mold culture called koji. It's been consumed in Japan for over 1,300 years. And the research on it is extraordinary. What makes miso special for adults over 50? First, miso is a probiotic powerhouse. The fermentation process produces live beneficial bacteria that survive digestion and support gut health. Second, miso is rich in isoflavones, plant compounds that have been shown to support bone density, which is critically important after 50 when bone loss accelerates, particularly in women. A landmark study published in the Journal of Nutritional Science and Vitaminology followed Japanese women over several years and found that those who consumed miso soup daily had significantly higher bone density and lower rates of bone fracture than those who didn't. There's also fascinating research around miso and cancer prevention. Japan has historically low rates of certain cancers, and some researchers point to the regular consumption of miso as a contributing protective factor, particularly against breast and stomach cancers. Practical tips: how to use miso. Now, and this is important, miso should never be boiled. High heat destroys the beneficial bacteria. Always dissolve your miso paste in warm broth that has been removed from the heat. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons per bowl is enough. Miso varieties. White miso, shiro. Milder, sweeter, great for beginners. Red miso, aka bolder, saltier, more fermented. Mix both for a balanced umami flavor. Sodium note. Miso is naturally high in sodium. If you have high blood pressure, use it in moderation, about 1 tablespoon per serving, and look for reduced sodium varieties. Start with just 1 bowl of miso soup per day. Add some tofu, a few strips of wakame seaweed, and sliced green onion, and you have one of the most nutrient-dense breakfasts on the planet. Food number 2, natto. If you've never tried it, prepare yourself, because natto is not a food that you ease into. It's pungent, sticky, stringy, and deeply acquired. But I'm going to make the case that it might be the single most valuable food for longevity that most Westerners have never heard of. Natto is made by fermenting whole soybeans with a bacterium called Bacillus subtilis natto. It's typically eaten for breakfast in Japan, served over rice with a raw egg, soy sauce, and Japanese mustard. Here's the bombshell. Natto is the single richest dietary source of vitamin K2, specifically a form called MK7, in the entire world. And vitamin K2 is something most people over 50 are dramatically deficient in. Vitamin K2 does something extraordinary. It activates proteins that direct calcium away from your arteries, where it causes dangerous calcification, and into your bones and teeth, where you actually want it. Think of K2 as a traffic cop for calcium in your body. A major study published in the journal Atherosclerosis found that people with high K2 intake had a 57% lower risk of dying from heart disease. Other research has linked higher K2 consumption to reduced risk of osteoporosis and improved bone density in postmenopausal women. Natto tip: can't stand the taste? Try mixing it very thoroughly. The flavor mellows when mixed. Add soy sauce, a touch of Japanese mustard, and eat it over warm rice. Give it 3 tries before you decide. Where to buy? Look for frozen natto at Japanese grocery stores or Asian supermarkets. It typically comes in small styrofoam packages, 2 to 3 portions each. Food number 3, tsukemono, Japanese pickles. Every traditional Japanese meal includes tsukemono, pickled vegetables. These are not the vinegar pickles you may be used to from Western cuisine. Traditional Japanese pickles are lacto-fermented, meaning they use salt and natural bacteria to ferment, producing the same beneficial probiotics as yogurt or kimchi. Pickled Japanese plum deserve special mention. These intensely sour, salty little plums have been used in Japanese medicine for over 1,000 years. They're alkalizing, antibacterial, and rich in citric acid, which supports energy metabolism and may help reduce fatigue. Simple start. Add a small serving of lacto-fermented pickles to 1 meal per day. Look for pickles that say naturally fermented or no vinegar added. These contain live cultures. Refrigerated varieties, not shelf-stable, are most likely to still contain active probiotics. Japan is an island nation, and the sea has always been central to its cuisine and culture. But beyond fish and seafood, which we'll get to, the Japanese have long harvested something most Westerners have largely ignored: seaweed. Sea vegetables. Seaweed is not a garnish in Japanese cooking. It's a staple. It appears in soups, salads, sushi, snacks, and side dishes. And nutritionally, it's unlike almost anything else you can eat. Food number 4, wakame. Wakame is the delicate, silky seaweed you've probably encountered floating in your miso soup. It's mild, slightly sweet, and pairs beautifully with almost anything. For adults over 50, wakame offers something particularly valuable: iodine. The thyroid gland, which regulates metabolism, energy, body temperature, and mood, requires iodine to function. Many older adults have suboptimal thyroid function without even knowing it, contributing to fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, and depression. Wakame is one of the best natural sources of iodine available. Wakame is also rich in a compound called fucoxanthin, a carotenoid that has shown promise in research for its ability to support healthy body weight and reduce visceral fat, the dangerous fat that accumulates around internal organs. One Japanese study found that fucoxanthin from seaweed reduced abdominal fat in participants over a 16-week period. How to eat it. Dried wakame rehydrates in minutes in warm water. Add it to miso soup. Use it in seaweed salads with sesame and rice vinegar, or mix it into noodle dishes. 1 to 2 tablespoons of dried wakame per day is a great target. Food number 5. Kombu kelp. Kombu is the foundation of dashi, the master stock that underlies nearly all of Japanese cooking. It's a large, thick kelp that is simmered in water to produce a broth of extraordinary depth and umami richness. But kombu's health benefits go far beyond flavor. It is extraordinarily rich in minerals: iodine, magnesium, iron, calcium, and potassium. It also contains natural glutamic acid, the amino acid responsible for umami taste, which supports gut lining integrity and may help protect against leaky gut syndrome. There's also research on fucoidan, a polysaccharide found in kombu, which has demonstrated anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and even anti-tumor properties in laboratory studies. While human trials are ongoing, the results are compelling. Easy dashi. Place 1 4-inch strip of dried kombu in 4 cups of cold water. Heat slowly to just below boiling, about 140 degrees Fahrenheit/60 degrees Celsius. Remove kombu. This is dashi, your base for miso soup, noodle broth, and countless Japanese dishes. Freeze in ice cube trays for convenient use. Food number 6, nori. Nori is the dark, papery seaweed sheet used to wrap sushi and onigiri rice balls. It's also available as roasted snack sheets, and it makes one of the healthiest snacks you can eat. Just 3 to 5 sheets contain meaningful amounts of vitamin B12, a nutrient critically important for nerve health, red blood cell formation, and cognitive function that becomes increasingly difficult to absorb as we age. B12 deficiency is alarmingly common in older adults and mimics symptoms of aging itself: fatigue, memory lapses, tingling in the extremities, mood disturbances. Nori is one of the very few plant-based sources of bioavailable B12. This makes it particularly relevant for anyone eating less meat as they get older. Snack swap. Replace chips or crackers with roasted nori sheets. They're low-calorie, high in minerals, and deeply satisfying in small quantities. Look for lightly salted, oil-free varieties for maximum health benefit. Lean proteins. Protein becomes more important, not less, as we age. After 50, the body becomes less efficient at building and maintaining muscle mass. Without adequate protein, muscle loss accelerates, metabolism slows, and the risk of falls and fractures increases. Japan's approach to protein is one of its most brilliant contributions to longevity. Food number 7. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Japan is one of the highest per capita consumers of fish in the world. And not just any fish. They favor fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, and tuna. These fish are extraordinarily high in omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which are the most studied nutrients for reducing inflammation, supporting heart health, and protecting the brain. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of aging-related diseases, from arthritis to Alzheimer's to cardiovascular disease. Scientists have even coined a term for it: inflammaging. Omega-3 fatty acids are among the most effective nutritional tools we have to counter inflammaging. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that regular consumption of fatty fish was associated with a significantly lower risk of death from heart disease, which remains the #1 killer of adults over 50 worldwide. Japanese people who consume fish 5 or more times per week show dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular disease. DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, is a structural component of brain cells. It makes up over 25% of the fat in your brain. As we age, DHA levels in the brain naturally decline. Research from the Rush Memory and Aging Project found that older adults who consumed fatty fish at least once a week had brains that appeared 10 to 15 years younger in terms of cognitive function compared to those who rarely ate fish. Best choices: wild salmon, highest omega-3s; mackerel, sardine-like, affordable, delicious grilled; sardines, the most sustainable, very affordable; yellowtail, hamachi; tuna, especially bluefin and yellowfin. How often? Aim for fatty fish at least 3 times per week. The Japanese average 3 to 5 servings per week, which research suggests is the sweet spot for cardiovascular and cognitive benefits. Food number 8. Tofu and edamame. Japan consumes more soy per capita than any other country, primarily through tofu and edamame. And despite some controversy around soy in Western media, the research on traditionally prepared soy foods is remarkably positive. Tofu is a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids, and it's extraordinarily low in saturated fat. For adults over 50 who want to maintain muscle without the cholesterol burden of red meat, tofu is exceptional. It's also rich in calcium and magnesium, vital for bone health. The isoflavones in soy, particularly genistein and daidzein, have been extensively studied for their effects on hormonal health in postmenopausal women. Multiple studies, including a major review in the Journal of the North American Menopause Society, found that soy isoflavones help reduce hot flash frequency and supported cardiovascular health in women after menopause. Tofu types. Silken tofu, smooth, custard-like, blend into smoothies or soups. Firm tofu, holds its shape, great for stir-fries and grilling. Extra firm, best for frying, baking, or marinating. All types are equally nutritious. Food number 9. Eggs, tamago. Eggs have been unfairly maligned for decades, but Japanese cuisine has always respected the egg, and modern nutritional science has vindicated it completely. Eggs are one of the most complete foods in nature. They contain all essential amino acids, choline for brain health, lutein and zeaxanthin for eye protection, and vitamin D. For adults over 50, choline deserves special attention. Choline is essential for liver health, nerve function, and the production of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter critical for memory and learning. Research from the Framingham Heart Study found that higher choline intake was associated with better cognitive performance and a reduced risk of dementia. Japanese egg tip. Try tamagoyaki, the rolled Japanese omelet, lightly sweetened with a touch of mirin and soy sauce. It's a beautiful, nutritious way to eat eggs that's become beloved worldwide. Green tea and ancient plant medicines. If there is one beverage that symbolizes Japanese health culture, it is green tea. The Japanese have been drinking green tea for more than 1,000 years. Monks drank it to stay alert during meditation. Samurai drank it for clarity before battle. And modern science has given us remarkable insights into why this ancient practice supports longevity so powerfully. Food number 10. Matcha and sencha green tea. Green tea, and particularly its concentrated form, matcha, contains one of the most powerful antioxidant compounds known to science, EGCG, or epigallocatechin gallate. EGCG is a polyphenol that has demonstrated anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, neuroprotective, and metabolism-boosting effects in research. For brain health specifically, EGCG has been shown in multiple studies to inhibit the formation of amyloid plaques, the protein deposits associated with Alzheimer's disease. A landmark 2006 study from Japan found that adults who drank 2 or more cups of green tea per day had a 54% lower risk of cognitive decline compared to those who drank less than 3 cups per week. That is a staggering difference. Green tea also contains L-theanine, an amino acid unique to tea plants that promotes a state of calm alertness. Unlike caffeine alone, which can cause jitteriness and anxiety, L-theanine and caffeine together create what researchers call, quote, alert relaxation. You feel focused and calm simultaneously. For older adults dealing with anxiety, sleep disruption, or brain fog, this combination can be genuinely life-changing. Regular green tea. Great daily option. Drink 3 to 5 cups per day. Mild caffeine, high antioxidants, gentle and accessible. Choose Japanese varieties, sencha, gyokuro, or bancha. Matcha. You consume the whole leaf, 10x the antioxidants of brewed tea. 1 to 2 servings per day. Ceremonial grade for drinking, culinary grade for cooking. Mix into lattes, smoothies, or oatmeal. When to drink: morning for focus, early afternoon for sustained energy. Stop caffeinated green tea by 2 to 3 p.m. if you're sensitive to caffeine. Hujicha, roasted green tea, is low caffeine and perfect for evenings. Food number 11. Ginger, shoga. Ginger appears constantly in Japanese cooking, grated fresh alongside sashimi, simmered in broths, pickled as shoga, and its medicinal properties have been validated extensively by modern research. For adults over 50, ginger's primary benefit is anti-inflammatory action. The bioactive compounds in ginger, gingerols and shogas, inhibit inflammatory pathways in the body, with a potency comparable, in some studies, to over-the-counter anti-inflammatory medications, but without the side effects on the stomach and kidneys that long-term NSAID use can cause. Ginger is also highly effective for digestive health, reducing nausea, supporting gastric motility, and easing bloating and discomfort. For older adults who experience more digestive sensitivity, fresh ginger tea before or after meals can be deeply soothing. Ginger tea recipe. Slice 5 to 6 thin rounds of fresh ginger. Simmer in 2 cups of water for 10 minutes. Add a squeeze of lemon and a small drizzle of raw honey. Drink warm, morning or evening. Food number 12. Shiitake and medicinal mushrooms. Japan is the world's leading culture of medicinal mushrooms. Shiitake, maitake, reishi, and enoki mushrooms have all been central to Japanese health practices for centuries, and the research on them is remarkable. Shiitake mushrooms contain a compound called lentinin, a beta-glucan polysaccharide that has demonstrated powerful immune-modulating effects. In Japan, lentinin is actually approved as a pharmaceutical treatment used alongside cancer therapy to support immune function. But you don't need a prescription to access it. Just eat fresh or dried shiitake mushrooms several times a week. Mushrooms are also one of the only dietary sources of ergosterol, which converts to vitamin D2 when exposed to sunlight. If you place fresh mushrooms gill side up in direct sunlight for just 15 to 30 minutes before eating, their vitamin D content increases dramatically, a fascinating and practical discovery. Sun-charged mushrooms. Place fresh shiitake or maitake mushrooms gill side up in direct sunlight for 15 to 30 minutes before cooking. Studies show this dramatically increases their vitamin D2 content. We've covered the heavy hitters. Now let's round out the picture with some important supporting foods that are everyday staples in Japanese cuisine, each one offering specific benefits that matter deeply to adults over 50. Food number 13. Brown rice and short grain rice. Rice is Japan's most fundamental food. It's eaten at almost every meal, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But the Japanese relationship with rice is worth examining carefully, because it flies in the face of some Western dietary advice about carbohydrates. Traditional Japanese rice, short-grain white rice, is consumed in modest portion-controlled amounts alongside a wide variety of other foods. The glycemic impact is buffered by the fish, vegetables, miso, and fermented foods eaten with it. The result is a stable blood sugar environment rather than the spikes associated with eating refined carbohydrates in isolation. Brown rice and Haiga rice, a partially milled rice that retains the germ, offer additional fiber, B vitamins, and minerals. For adults managing blood sugar, brown rice is an excellent choice. The insoluble fiber supports digestive regularity, and the magnesium and phosphorus support heart and bone health. Rice tip: try mixing 70% white Japanese rice with 30% brown rice if you want the flavor and texture of traditional Japanese rice with added fiber and nutrients. Cook them together. They complement each other beautifully. Food number 14, sesame seeds and sesame oil. Sesame appears constantly in Japanese cooking, scattered over rice dishes, salads, and noodles, pressed into a deeply fragrant oil used to finish dishes. And nutritionally, sesame seeds are remarkably dense. Sesame seeds are one of the richest plant sources of calcium available, important for adults over 50 who are focused on bone health. They also contain unique lignans, sesamin and sesamolin, that have shown anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects and may support healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels. Food number 15, daikon radish. Daikon radish is an extraordinary vegetable that appears in Japanese cuisine in almost every form: raw, pickled, simmered, grated, steamed. It's remarkably low in calories, but high in vitamin C, folate, and a special class of compounds called glucosinolates, which the body converts into powerful anti-cancer compounds called isothiocyanates. Grated raw daikon, oroshi, is served alongside fatty or rich foods in Japanese cooking for a reason. Daikon contains enzymes, particularly diastase and amylase, that actively support digestion. When you eat grilled fish with a mound of fresh grated daikon, you're literally aiding your body's ability to digest the meal. This is traditional food wisdom that modern enzyme science has confirmed. Food number 16, turmeric, the Okinawan secret. In Okinawa specifically, the region of Japan with the highest concentration of centenarians, there is an additional longevity secret: yukon or turmeric. Okinawans have consumed turmeric tea and turmeric spiced dishes for centuries, and research on turmeric's active compound, curcumin, has become one of the most exciting fields in anti-aging nutrition. Curcumin inhibits multiple inflammatory pathways simultaneously. It's also been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier and may support the clearance of amyloid plaques. A study from UCLA found that adults who took curcumin supplements showed improvements in memory and attention after 18 months, and their brain scans showed fewer amyloid and tau deposits. Absorption tip: curcumin is poorly absorbed on its own. Combining it with black pepper, which contains piperine, increases absorption by up to 2,000%. Adding a fat source, coconut milk, olive oil, also dramatically improves uptake. Golden milk, turmeric, black pepper, and coconut milk is the perfect preparation. Let's make this practical, because knowing that these foods are powerful is only valuable if you actually eat them. Here's a weekly template inspired by the Japanese longevity diet that you can begin this week without finding a Japanese grocery store or learning to cook complex dishes. Every traditional Japanese meal follows an intuitive balance. Half the plate is vegetables and sea vegetables. A quarter is lean protein, fish, tofu, or egg. A quarter is whole grain, typically rice, and a small fermented food appears on the side: miso soup, pickles, or natto. Sample daily meal plan: breakfast, miso soup with wakame and tofu, soft-boiled egg, tamagoyaki if time allows, small bowl of short grain rice, small serving of natto if accessible, green tea, sencha or matcha. Lunch, grilled mackerel or salmon fillet, brown rice or mixed rice, simmered daikon or steamed vegetables with sesame, small plate of tsukemono pickles, green tea. Dinner, dashi broth-based soup with mushrooms and tofu, sashimi or poached fish, side salad with wakame seaweed and sesame dressing, pickled ginger hujicha, roasted green tea. Snacks, roasted nori sheets, edamame with sea salt, a cup of matcha latte, a small piece of dark chocolate, 70% plus cacao, a natural polyphenol. I know this can feel overwhelming if you're new to Japanese cuisine, so let me offer you a simple starting challenge. In the next 7 days, try to incorporate just 5 of these foods into your normal eating. Pick the ones that feel most accessible to you. Miso soup is easy. Miso paste is available in most supermarkets now. Green tea is simple. A handful of edamame as a snack costs almost nothing. Sardines are affordable and wildly underrated. Frozen nori sheets are surprisingly easy to find. Start there. Just 5. Then build. I want to end with something important. These foods are powerful. The research is real, But the deepest truth about Japanese longevity is that it was never just about food. It's about a reason to wake up in the morning. It's about the social circles that hold you accountable, celebrate you, and show up for you. It's about walking, gardening, working with your hands, sleeping well, and eating mindfully in community. The foods we've discussed today are extraordinary, but they work best as part of a larger philosophy, one that says aging is not something to be dreaded. It is something to be navigated wisely, with curiosity, intention, and joy. That's what Japanese longevity culture teaches us. And here is the genuinely inspiring part. It is never too late to start. The gut microbiome can shift significantly within just 2 weeks of dietary change. Inflammation markers can drop within a month. The brain responds to good nutrition at every age. Every meal is an opportunity. You have now spent 25 minutes learning what the longest living people on Earth have known for centuries. The question is simply, what will you eat tomorrow? Thank you so much for watching. If this video served you, please hit the like button. It helps this content reach more people who need it. Subscribe for weekly deep dives on nutrition, longevity, and healthy aging. And drop a comment below. Which food are you going to try first?